Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive It Out. My name is Adam and today we are at the 2024 Chicago Auto Show. I'm excited to be here because there are a lot of great vehicles here. There are many 2024s as well as even some 2025s. So check out other videos for some of those. Right now I want to do a comparison. If you are shopping for like a 3-row SUV that's not a big full size like body on frame truck type vehicle, but you still have 3 rows and will still fit in the garage nicely, you may be shopping these 4 vehicles, one of which is behind me. This is the all-new Mazda CX90, right? Some other vehicles you might be shopping in there are the Honda Pilot, the Kia Telluride / Hyundai Palisade, or the Toyota Grand Highlander. So we're going to take a look at all these because all of these vehicles are here today. Let's start right here with the Mazda CX90 because you may not be familiar with it. This is a vehicle that has come around recently, and it's Mazda's way of really getting into this space and providing you a little bit more of a premium feel. This is a very sharp looking SUV. You would expect nothing less from Mazda. Mazda's design language really is about letting those curves talk. It's not real boxy or edgy. It's very pretty curves on this vehicle, and if you are into that, I would tell you to look at the Mazda CX90. Now, here are the key things about this 3-row SUV. It offers an inline 6-cylinder, or it offers a plug-in hybrid version. This one here is the plug-in hybrid version. We don't have the 6-cylinder with us today, but the inline 6-cylinder that they are doing now at Mazda is very intriguing. Think inline 6-cylinder, that's something BMW's done for a long time. Those motors are typically very stout and can be very reliable and get good power out of those. This one here is the PHEV. Now, you're looking for a 3-row SUV around $50,000. You're going to be able to spec any of these vehicles we're going to talk about for about that kind of money. You're going to be able to spec them pretty well. But let's talk a little bit about what you're going to get individually with each of these. Let's get inside really quick while we're here. So here in the Mazda CX-90, you're going to get in, and you can tell here that they are going for a premium look. Now, while the materials are maybe not quite as premium as they might be in other vehicles, they are very nice. They don't look super duper cheap. But the thing about Mazda is that you're going to get a screen up here, but you are going to get control here on the dial in the middle of the center console. Now, some people like that, some people don't. I tend to like that quite a bit. The purpose of that is because they want you to be able to keep your eyes that way out the front windshield and be able to control the things on your screen by feel. This is a very tactile knob and button. You can feel when you're selecting things, when you're moving from one thing to the other, and you can do it all by that texture and keep your eyes forward. If you have to touch a touchscreen, if that's all you have to look where your finger is going. Otherwise, you're just kind of guessing, and that's less time your eyes are on. That's the philosophy behind that. If you drive a Mazda, a modern Mazda, you get used to that. I actually like that quite a bit. You do get a fully digital gauge cluster in here. Let's talk about the back seat. Again, these are 3-row SUVs. Now here you will find you have the captain's chairs, right? I'm going to go here and all the way in to the 3rd row. Now, some of these 3rd-row SUVs have only 2 seat belts in the back. This is one of them that has 3 seat belts in the back. So it's tight, but if you needed to put 3 people in here, you could do that. You have 3 seat belts back here. So this essentially is a 7-seater. So you've got 2 in the front, you've got captain's chairs here in the middle, and you can put 3 more in the back. But it's nice back here. You still have 2 cup holders on each side. You've got some Type-C power outlets back here. You do have climate vents back here up there in front of the 2nd row, and you have them here in the 3rd row as well. So your people in the way back do not feel left out. But it is very nice in here. You have noticed that it has the panoramic sunroof up here as well. I like what Mazda's doing with the 2-tone interior here, and it looks quite nice. Now let's look in the back hatch really quick. Let's check that out. So The nice thing about a 3-row SUV is when you put down that third row when you don't need it, you're gonna get a lot of really good storage space back here. But even with the third row up, you still get decent space here. You do have storage underneath here as well. Your good lighting back here, some power outlets as well. This is a very sharp looking car. Come around here and look at this side of it here. Got big wheels on this, really making the stance of this vehicle look very, very premium. And I actually dig it in the white, and you kind of have this nice chrome piece here that stretches all the way up. All these little touches, you got the chrome on the luggage rack. It's about making it look and feel a little more premium. Maybe you don't expect that from Mazda, or maybe you didn't expect it from Mazda, but this is who Mazda is now, and this is the type of vehicle that they are trying to get you in, and it's to feel a little more premium. So let's go take a look at the next. Again, we're talking about 4 vehicles here. Let's go take a look at another one. All right, everyone, we are at the next vehicle in this comparison. Now, this is the 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. Not just Highlander, Grand Highlander. Now, again, what are we talking here? We're talking 3-row SUVs that are not big, full-size SUVs. So they fit the whole family, right? But they still fit nicely in the garage. They're easy to park. They're not huge yet, like a big truck or anything like that. This is the next one on the list, Toyota Grand Highlander. Now, what do you have here? Now, the biggest thing to think about here, remember we talked about the powertrains with the Mazda. You could get an inline 6 or you could get a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid. Here, you can get just a gas motor, or you can get a turbo gas motor, or you can get a hybrid, right? But it's all 4 cylinders, okay? Toyota's not offering that great V6 that was so reliable in so many vehicles for so many years that are still out there driving today because they still haven't broke. That's not offered here anymore. It's all 4-cylinder options, and you can vary your powertrain options. You can end up with a regular automatic transmission, which is wise, or you can end up with a CVT, which still may be good, but definitely not as great to drive. So you can kind of mix and match the powertrain, just like you had powertrain options with the Mazda and most of the other vehicles in its class. But think about that. Are you looking for more power here? Are you looking for more gas mileage here? That is up to you. But let's talk about the interior here. While Toyota has a premium brand known as Lexus, they've still done a great job here with a pretty premium interior here in the Grand Highlander. Now remember, everybody's trying to get you a nice big screen here in the middle. They're giving you one here, but again, they have done a good job, like that Mazda, of still giving you some tactile buttons here as well. And you do have some buttons here in the center console for drive modes. And again, you are getting a fully digital gauge cluster. That is very common in vehicles nowadays because it's all about customization. It's being able to make the screen look how you want it. That is why all these vehicles we're looking at today, so many of them don't have regular analog gauges anymore. It's all just become displays, right? It's all screens. The whole world is screens now. But let's talk about this. Second row, captain's chairs, very nice. I do like the rugged materials on the floor in here. I'm gonna go ahead back to the third row. And I'm back here in the third row. There is 3 seat belts. I tell you what, there's definitely not very much room back here. Now, much like the recipe in that Mazda, you have multiple cup holders on both sides, and you do have some power outlets, but your vents are now up here. So they are thinking about third row passengers much more than they used to. Third row vehicles didn't always have this stuff back here, and now they're thinking about it. You have lights back here and you have vents. That's good, but the seats are pretty tight back here. But you can do it, and especially if you're taking the whole family, put the smaller ones back here. Your elementary, middle school age kids could fit back here okay. They're not full grown adults. But again, you can do 7 in here if you have to squeeze. I like what they've done here. Let's go look at the back of this vehicle. Again, this is such a big segment, right? 3-row SUVs that are mid-size SUVs. They're not full size. And this Grand Highlander has a lot of room here in the back behind the third row. There's a little bit more room back here than many of its competitors with the third row up. And they've done a really good job of space in here. And this is exactly why they went from Highlander to Grand Highlander, is to give you a little bit more of that space back here. So again, this is car number 2 in our comparison. We looked at the Mazda CX-90, now the Toyota Grand Highlander. What are you thinking about? What are you looking for? Do you care most about the powertrain and what's driving your vehicle? Do you care most about the space and the dimensions inside? Do you care most about the luxury or the premium look? Maybe you want your vehicle to be more rugged. That's totally up to you, but let's go take a look at the next one on this list here at the show. All right, guys, let's look at the next vehicle in this comparison. I am in the Hyundai booth, and this is the Hyundai Palisade. Now, that's right. This has a vehicle that is very similar. I would call like a cousin vehicle, and that is the Kia Telluride. But today we're going to look specifically at the Hyundai Palisade. Now, you may also remember Hyundai offers the Santa Fe. That's a little bit different. That's all new. Looks a little bit different. It's 4-cylinder hybrid stuff. It's 3 rows, but it only has 2 seat belts in that third row. If you're going to kind of stick with that same traditional mid-size SUV size, and that is a direct competitor with the other 3 that we're talking about in this, it's going to be Palisade again and Kia Telluride. So what are you going to get here? Now this is where we start to differ from the first 2 that we talked about. We talked about the Mazda CX-90 with that inline 6-cylinder, and then we started talking about the plug-in hybrid option you have, and you go to Toyota, you have hybrid options too. But here, now we are at vehicles where we only have 1 engine option. That's right, this is a naturally aspirated V6. It's a 3.8 liter, 291 horsepower. So that one single engine option, V6, may start to sound familiar because we're going to see that in the next one as well. But if you're looking for something like that, that can mean reliability. It's much more simple, right? There's not a whole lot going on with extra stuff. This may be where you want to go. The Palisade is a very pretty vehicle. It looks very nice. They have very high trim levels. This is one of them. This is a calligraphy, and the inside feels very premium. So I don't know how you feel about the design. It's definitely not as tough looking as perhaps the Highlander, for example. It kind of has that more pretty vibe that you get from that CX-90, and the inside kind of matches. So let's look inside here a little bit. Definitely a premium feel. I love what they've done here with multiple different textures and materials in these surfaces, and that goes all the way through the dash in here. Now, again, you've got a big digital screen here in the middle. You have completely digital gauge cluster as well, but this is the first one that we've looked at that does not have a shift lever. This is a push button shifter here for this automatic transmission. So I have driven one of these and spent some time behind the wheel. That push button system that they put here takes a little bit getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's pretty much okay. It's kind of a preference thing. So I tend to like to have a lever, but if you're going to have a push button, once you get used to this system, it is not too bad. But it feels very premium in here. Again, you will notice that what car designers are doing these days in a lot of vehicles, you've seen that in some of our other videos here at the show, in fact, is they're incorporating these vents into a design that goes across the entire dash, and so it kind of hides where those are. This obviously is not all a vent. There's a vent here and over here in the middle, but it takes that design across because it kind of hides those things that previously in cars in the past, you know, just look like they're stuck on, right? Let's look here in the back. Again, we are at captain's chairs for the second row. Now, when you get in here, you instantly feel this is not rugged like the Highlander. You don't have those tough materials on the floor. This is all very carpeted and very premium feeling. I'm gonna squeeze in the third row like I have been with all these to see how I fit. Often, if you can, you wanna keep the adults in the front couple rows, but the third row back here is quite good as far as leg room, and I'm actually feeling decent room side to side. If you only have 2 people back here, I think you can do 2 adults back here, no problem. And that's the first one of these that we're looking at that I have been able to say that about. But there is very little room for the person in the middle if you needed to put 3 people back here. So think about that. So let's go around back again. Panoramic sunroof in here, very nice, bringing that premium to all of the rows. By the way, I forgot to mention, the third row in here has heated seats all the way back in the third row. So that's the first time that we've seen that, and that's gonna come from that premium trim, the calligraphy that this is. So let's look here in the back. You've got that automatic lift gate, of course. You have the third row up. You have an okay amount of space back here, and you do have a little bit of storage underneath. But the big thing is you got a bunch of buttons for your power seats. You can fold everything, put these down. Like many people use three-row SUVs like this for, they leave that third row down almost all the time, and you use it for all the storage space back there. And then every once in a while, when you need to squeeze a bunch of people in, you put that third row up. So it's kind of nice to have that power feature. But if you don't really use the third row a lot or all the time, no big deal. Something to think about when you're using the third row, and I've done it in my own vehicles at times. What's great with this third row back here is you can only, if you want, you can put just one side up, you have one side down, and you send your the kids or the passengers that need to get in there, they can go in on one side, sit on the other, and that's a great way to get in and out. And then once they're in there, you put the row all the way up. But guys, let's continue, let's move on, and let's go talk about the last vehicle that I'm going to put in this comparison, because if you are shopping SUVs this size, these are four that you should be looking at depending on the preferences and what you're looking for. But let's go check out the last one. All right, guys, we have reached the last vehicle in this particular comparison. Guys, this is the 2024 Honda Pilot. Now, this one is an elite trim. Now, we've talked about the CX-90, the Grand Highlander, the Palisade. I do want to make a special note for the Telluride, because again, that's the cousin vehicle of the Palisade. So if you like the Hyundai Palisade, but you want a shift lever and not buttons, the Telluride is your vehicle. Plus, the Telluride has something in common with this Pilot, is you can get kind of an off-roady version. So the Telluride, you can get one with the more off-roady tires, and it sits up another inch, and you know that. But the Pilot offers the elite trim and then offers the trail sport. So let's look at both, starting with this elite trim here. Right now, like that Hyundai and that Kia, there is one engine option for all trim levels. This is a 3.5 liter Honda V6, 285 horsepower. It's not going to blow anybody out of the water. It is not going to win all the drag races, but it is going to run good, it is going to remain reliable, and it is going to have a lot of longevity. And that is what you get with a naturally aspirated setup paired to a real automatic transmission, this one being a 10-speed automatic transmission. So we are not in CVT land here. We are in naturally aspirated motor, no hybrid options, no 4 cylinders, no turbos, and we got a real automatic transmission. So anyway, let's check out what this elite trim gets us. So now I will say this, the interior is nice, and it has that nice Honda feeling where everything fits really tight. There's a good use of materials, but it is not as premium as some of the other vehicles that we have looked at. The CX-90 is going to feel more premium than this in its top trim, and the Palisade is most definitely going to feel more premium than this in its top trim. But again, you get that recipe of the pretty big center screen, and you have a digital gauge cluster as well. But we are back now again to push button shifter. That is actually my least favorite thing about the new Honda Pilot, because I absolutely love the vehicle otherwise. But these push button shifters, I'm kind of over. I don't like it. I like to feel putting my car in gear, even though most of them aren't really connected to the transmission in any way anymore. It's just all electronic. I still like it, but again, these materials feel good. They have different textures, different colors to break up the things on the dash here. It does look and feel really nice, and again, it smells like a Honda. All Hondas smell the same way. That's not a bad thing. But let's talk about what you're going to get in the back here. Now, this Pilot does have a trick up its sleeve that the others don't. I have done a video just on this. Please go look for that video where I've actually done it. I will save you not having to do it this time. But Right now you see a bench seat all the way across, and you see that middle one is over with cup holders, you know, as a center console for the passengers in the second row. But that middle part of that bench seat actually removes, comes out, and you can bring it back here and you can stow it in the back in the floor. And you can do it without sacrificing any space up here. So this is the space you have with that third row up, and you have a ton of storage space down here because you can fit that center of that seat. You don't have to pull out the middle of that seat and leave it sitting in your garage somewhere or in your basement or wherever. Instead, you actually can stow it there, and you can close that and still have that flat load for it. Now, I've been getting in the back seat of all of these. This one is going to be different because it has that middle part in there. I can't walk through the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this forward, slide it forward, and I'm going to step over and give you an example of what the third row space is like back here. Now again, you're back here. This is typically not a place you're putting all of the adults if you can help it, but if you have to, it works out okay. You have a little bit more room side to side than some of the others, but it's gonna get real tight real fast if you put 3 people back here. But I have good leg room between me and the person in front of me. The person who does get stuck in the middle obviously gets the luxury of having this in their way here, which takes away even more of their leg room, but it's not too bad back here. You do have your own vents, your own cup holders, you do have some power outlets back here, but no heated seats like we did in that Hyundai Palisade. But I will tell you this, if you want a third row with 3 actual seat belts and you don't want a full-size SUV, guess what? The Pilot used to be your only option. Just a few years back, the Highlander, other SUVs of this side just had the 2 seat belts in that third row, but you actually have 3 all the way across now. So that is something that we're seeing standard, but again, like that Santa Fe does not have that. There are some other competitors in this space. Again, this is a space that's very busy. There are a lot of competitors in this space. But if you are shopping, these are 4 vehicles that I definitely think you should look at. So let's get over here. I'll show you one final thing with this Pilot. Again, it has that more off-roady trim level that I was going to tell you about, and it is right around this corner here. And again, this is the Honda Pilot Trail Sport. It's very sharp looking. You get off-road tires, and it sits up higher, and they've really done a lot to work with the off-road system here. And for being a unibody all-wheel drive system, it is pretty well capable off-road. So if I were going to pick out of the ones we have looked at, this is actually what I would pick. I would pick the Pilot, and I would go with the Trail Sport version. The bummer is, if you go with the Trail Sport version, you lose that middle seat in the second row. It goes away. That does bum me out because I wish it still had that middle seat there in the middle that you could pull out and remove so that this could actually be a full 8-seater. But if you want it to be a potential full 8-seater, you have to go with the regular Honda Pilot, like that Elite one over there. You cannot get the Trail Sport. You want those extra off-roady goods and off-roady bits, you're gonna lose that middle seat. You don't have the room to put one back there anyway, so that is the conundrum here. But as if you are shopping for, say, hey, I need a 3-row SUV, you're probably actually a shopper that's like, hey, I need an SUV with good storage in the back, but maybe sometimes every once in a while, I want to put that third row to use on rare occasions. This is where you go. If you're somebody that's using 3 rows, 7, 8 passengers, 6, 7, 8 passengers all the time, you're probably gonna need to look in the full-size SUV space. But these are 4 good ones that I think you should look at. So again, Mazda CX-90, that may have taken you by surprise. That inline 6-cylinder is really intriguing. You have the Toyota Grand Highlander. If you want a hybrid option there, you can do that. They also have 4-cylinder turbos, but you get that Toyota peace of mind that comes with the reliability that typically comes with that brand. But you gotta watch out because you might end up in CVT land over there. If you're not okay with a CVT, you could run into it depending on what trim level you pick of the Highlander. Then you have the Palisade, Telluride, and then you have the Honda Pilot. Look at these 4. Guys, it's if you've noticed, I have looked at 4 different brand vehicles here in one place. This is a great way to shop. Guys, I am an advocate for going to your local auto show. If there is one in a big city near you, you need to go because this is a great way to shop. Think about the time it would have taken me if I wanted to go to 4 different dealerships, and you get there, the salesman wants your contact information. We need them. That's great that they're there, but it's a time thing. You have to give them your information and your keys to look in one, and if you go for a test drive, that's valuable, but it would take all day to go to 4 different dealerships and drive 4 different things because it's hard sometimes to get in and out of there quickly. So come to an auto show, try out vehicles just by sitting in them, because you may be able to delete some off your list just by sitting in them. Sit down, put the seat in the position you want to put it in to see how well you fit in it, reach for things, see if you reach them well, and then put your hands on the wheel and look at your visibility and see if you see out of it well. Cars have different height belt lines, they have different looks out over the hood, and they have different blind spots. So go to an auto show and just sit in things and look over your shoulders and mess around with the things inside the vehicle. And you may find that there's some that you can completely take off your list and save yourself time, not having to travel to those dealerships for a test drive. And you may get to see something that you add to your list that you hadn't thought of before. So this has been a 4 vehicle comparison of the 3-row midsize SUV market. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you stayed along for it, if you're shopping for one, I hope this helped. Again, we're at the 2024 Chicago Auto Show. This is Drive It Out, and we do lots of car reviews. We even do long form reviews with test drives. I hope that you guys will check those out. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Adam, and we will see you in the next review.